Hello again, and welcome to the Fat Feminist Witch podcast, where I do a little ranting, raving, and wand waving. I am your host, Paige, the Fat Feminist Witch, and today I have a very special co-host. I want you all to meet Jose Cuervo. I was having a little dinner tequila, she said, as if that's something everyone does, and decided it was time for a new episode. It's been kind of a while, and for that I really truly apologize. I've been having some technical difficulties that I've hopefully got figured out. In my defense, I did record and edit a 45-minute episode earlier this week, but then lost the audio in the saving process, and do not even ask me how. All I did was hit save, and next thing you know, it's just like blank 45-minute file, so I don't know what's up with that. But I do know it killed my spirit just a little bit, and I've been kind of upset watching a whole lot of Law & Order, just so much Law & Order, and that's just it. So now I'm taking a little bit of a gamble, and I'm using the Podbean application, the app, on my phone, which allows me to put music in the background. I hope it's good. I found a really cool file. But the problem is that it doesn't allow me to edit. So all of my ums and ooh and like empty space that I normally edit out just a little bit is going to be left in. I hope that's fine. If it's not, send me an email and tell me how terrible it is. If it is good and you love hearing all of my mistakes, tell me that too, and I'll just keep doing this instead of investing in something good. Two different options there, two different options. So this week I've got a new book review of Shadows, and I'm also going to tell you guys all about my recent trip to Convocation in Michigan, which is a pagan convention. But let's start with the book. So I got this really cool email recently that I was really excited about from some editors at Moon Books. You guys might recognize Moon Books as a title from their Pagan Portals series, and they have a Pagan Portals book about just about everything. They're really, really great. So they contacted me and they offered me free books if I wanted to review them on the podcast and the blog. Now, before you guys think I'm selling out, I'm not getting any money, but I am getting free books. And you guys know how much I love books. I'll do pretty much everything for free books. So I'm doing this for free books. It's all free books. And I'm pretty excited because so far the whole free book thing has been a steal. The first book that I got from them was called Pagan Planet. And this is an anthology series, so it has many authors, and I'm not going to list them all. I did link to it on my blog, so you can check it out there. But it was edited by Nimue Brown, who also is the one who emailed me my books. So thank you very much, Nimue. So Pagan Planet is an anthology of essays, and it's about being, believing, and belonging in the 21st century. This is essentially a look at what it means to be a modern pagan now, which I found really, really interesting. I also kind of figured, because it was called Pagan Planet, that there would be a look at ethics and activism, and I was right. I'm so sorry. I love this music, but I'm going to cut it down a little bit. I'm so sorry. Yay, no editing. Okay, I'm going to link to that file through the podcast, by the way, because it's absolutely amazing. It's free. It's by a hip-hop artist called Killaculla. It's just super fun. Super fun. And the title is called Gypsy, and it's just, I really love it. I could listen to it all day, but it's kind of distracting. So we're starting with Pagan Planet. And I liked this book so much that I'm giving it 4 out of 5 crystal balls. I almost wish that I could make this mandatory reading. I think everyone should read this book. I'm just going to throw that out right now. My recommendation for this book is just absolutely read it. Absolutely. It covers a wide range of subjects. So you've got like pagan activism, families and parenting, feminism. You've got some funny stuff. Like one of them was literally about squirrels tripping out on magic mushrooms. It's just, it's really fun. And it allows, because it's an anthology, it allows the book to cover all of these like really different subjects with very different but very real voices and personalities. I thought this was an awesome way to read about faith and religion, and I'm going to start looking into more anthology type books like this because I thought it was really cool. So my favorite essays were the ones that dealt with activism and ethics. Like I said, that's what I was hoping for when I asked for the book, so I'm really glad it delivered. The very first essay was, without a doubt, my favorite one, which almost makes me laugh, because of course it is. I couldn't get all the way through the book, of course. I just had to latch on to that first one. So, I did read the whole book, just my wording was bad. So the very first one I really liked, and it was called Pagan Aid and the Road to Social Justice by Ian Chandler. Ian Chandler last year started a new charitable aid organization called Pagan Aid, and this is all run and funded by pagans, and it donates to not just environmental causes, but it deals with issues like hunger and sustainable farming and feeding actual human beings. And he had a couple of quotes in this essay that I'm going to read to you because they just struck a chord with me so bad. They really got into my heart. So he says, "I believe that all of Mother Earth's creations have an inherent value and beauty, equally deserving of our love and respect. Humanity as a species has been responsible for destruction on a massive scale, but individuals are not equally to blame or worthy of punishment. My love extends beyond the rivers and the mountains, and the flora and the fauna of the natural world to include those struggling to survive, fighting to feed their children, and longing to live with dignity and security." He went on to say, "I believe to be a true pagan, to live our lives with love and integrity, we cannot be neutral in the face of extreme poverty and environmental destruction. We have to stand up for what we believe in." I mean, wow. Jose and I are struggling a little bit with how deep this is. No lie. But right after I finished this first essay, I went up and I looked up Pagan Aid. Because, like I said, that was incredibly profound and something that I really, really agree with. I'm always kind of shocked when pagans aren't more... When I don't meet as many pagan activists. I don't meet a lot of pagan activists, and there are a lot of pagans who will talk about things like the environment and about religious prejudice and even about other human beings, but they don't really do anything about it. And I always find that kind of odd. I also meet so many pagans that just don't care. They're just not an activist type person. They don't care about politics or even the environment, really, and I always find that just a little bit shocking. Because to me, these two things go hand in hand. I've always been a bit of a hippie kid, It was the 90s. I was really obsessed with the 60s. So I've always been kind of a hippie. I've always really cared about the environment. So when I found paganism and Wicca back in the 90s, it just made sense because it's kind of a religious path that really cares about the environment. And I thought it cared about the environment to the extent of becoming an activist. It doesn't always. That's okay. I'm going to try not to judge y'all, even though I think everybody should be an activist. But that's something I feel that is lacking a lot from modern paganism. So I went and looked Pagan Aid up. It's amazing. I found a website. It's paganaid.org. I found a Facebook page. I invited everyone I know to like that page. I'm going to post it to my Facebook tonight. And it's linked to in the blog post, so on the fatfeministwitch.wordpress.com. You can find my full review of the book there. And I was looking this up for kind of a while. I'm going to say I spent at least an hour looking this up. And this became kind of a common theme throughout the book. So after quite a few of the essays, I would have to stop. Think about what I read, maybe do a little bit of internet research. This book was published in the UK. Most of the writers are from the UK. So for some of the issues that they were talking about or like historical context, I had to look it up a little bit. I'm very much a North American girl. And when it comes to world history, I've got a lot. But it's got to be old. And I mean like ancient history. When it comes to current events in other parts of the world, I am, and I'm truly embarrassed to say this, a little bit in the dark when it comes to Europe. Just a little bit. I'm so sorry, and I'm going to change that for sure. So I had to look stuff up. And this was something I had to do quite a few times. And this kind of leads into the reason the book got 4 crystal balls instead of 5. Because like I said, I think the book's phenomenal. I think everyone should read it. Everyone should read this book. But my issue with the book is the structure. So, all of the essays are about very different things, but some of them have a unifying theme. There were a few essays that were about something like activism. And I would have really liked if the essays about activism were put together in like a subheading, so that I could really get into like activist Paige state of mind and read those essays and interact with them in that state of mind, and then have full awareness that I'm moving into another topic. So then the next topic could have been something like families. I don't plan to have children ever. It's not in the books. So for me, reading something like an activist essay that I get really, really jazzed up about, and then moving straight into like raising pagan kids, it kind of, puts the brakes on in my brain a lot. So I didn't like that structure at all, and for that reason it took me a really long time to read the book. A long time. Weeks. I read books really, really fast, but this one is not one I could read fast. And that's not bad, because I was taking the time to really absorb the things I was reading, and I feel like with a few of those essays, they're really, really burned into my mind. That Pagan Aid one is seriously just in there. Another one I really liked was called Wild Sisters, sorry. And it was about these women who were herbalists. They were herbalists, and they made herbal medicine and stuff like that. And they took all their herbal medicines and they went to an encampment where some activists were fighting to save, I believe it was wetlands. It was something with the environment. Thanks, Jose. So they went to this encampment with all their herbal medicines, and they started offering free care to everybody. And I mean, it was as much care as they could give. They weren't going above what they should have at all. They were still being very ethical with it, but they were giving it away for free. They were helping people out. They were telling them what might be wrong, noticing if they had infections, etc., etc., etc. I think they sent a couple people to the hospital because they're like, okay, we can't help you. So I really liked that one as well. And I would have liked to read, the activist ones that I liked in like a chunk, and then moved on to different chunks. I just would have liked that better, and I feel like I would have gotten through the book a little bit faster. So if you're sitting there and you are thinking that this is some super serious book of ethics, I'm going to go ahead and stop you. First of all, those essays that have to do with kids, get real. Kids are A, hilarious, and B, disgusting. So there's some funny stuff there. But one I really, really liked, just because it's me, was called Squirrels on Shrooms, Divination in the Deep Woods. And this was by Hearth Moon Rising, who has a blog, by the way. Read the blog. The blog is great. And the title alone had me howling with laughter. I was laughing so hard when I just read this title. It was late at night. I'm pretty sure I was in the bathtub. And this line... This line that comes in about a paragraph in is, now things were beginning to make sense. These squirrels are tripping along the boardwalk. It's so good. And the rest of the essay is a funny story about these squirrels that are eating these mushrooms, which, magic type mushrooms grow everywhere. I'm not even kidding you. So many mushrooms are so poisonous, but they're so delicious. And they're just poisonous enough not to kill little animals, so little animals will eat them. And they will have fun with them. And he gathered a group of other witches, and they went out into the woods, and he had to talk about dragging these city witches out into the woods, and like he's hacking stuff down with a machete, and they just don't get it. I laughed. As a city witch, I really laughed. And even during ones that were about just life, just general life, I really liked the ones about just general life. And one by Rachel Patterson, who also has a blog, which I've linked to in my blog. The essay called Modern Pagan Life started with, when I looked at the subject for this essay, modern pagan life being believing and belonging in the 21st century, my initial thoughts were, wow, this is a bit grown up for me. And I feel that so hard. I honestly don't feel like an adult. And sometimes, because I've been practicing witchcraft for so long, in my head, in some ways, it's really something that's stuck in the past. It's either stuck in my younger days or straight up in the 90s. And I've said it before on the podcast that I'll often describe my beliefs or what I do as, 90s witchcraft a la craft. And people will laugh, but that's not altogether wrong. So adulting is hard. Adult witching is hard. So I really feel that one, Rachel. It's not always easy to explain your practice as without sounding like a teen. It's just, magic's just fun. It makes you sound like a teenager. So I highly recommend this book. Even if you just pick it up, look at an essay at random, laugh or cry or just think about it for a little while, and then put the book back down and come back to it later. I think all the essays are worth reading. Even the ones I didn't really like, I think were worth reading. I mean, how could I possibly like every single one? How could I? It's just not possible. And you won't like every single one either. You just won't. But you'll like a lot of them, I promise. I also think it's really important. Pagans, people who are new to pagans, people who are new to witchcraft, stuff like that, you know, they get a lot of how-tos about, like, you know, spells and sabbats and, you know, how do you worship the moon. You know, you get a lot of how-tos about magic, and that stuff's really important. But it's also really important to know stuff like, what are my rights as a pagan? How can I get involved with my communities? You know, is activism necessary? You know, really, yes it is, whatever. What's a hand fasting? How do pagans have funerals? How do you raise pagan kids? Just because you're a pagan or a witch doesn't mean you have to stop living on Earth. I live in the real world all the time. I have to walk out the door and, you know, there's times I'm wearing a pentacle and I'm wearing it all day and everything's fine. And then I think about where I'm about to go, maybe out to dinner. Last week it was a poutine festival. I took it off. It just, I knew that it didn't work out. Now, it's within my right to wear that, but I still recognize that I live in the real world. And I have to interact with the real world. So this book gives you a little bit of a window into how other people are living into the real world while still living with purpose and intent and compassion and magic. It's really, really good. I would really like you guys to check it out. I'm going to make you all promise to check it out. Like I said, I didn't get paid to do this review, but I did get quite a few books from Moon. And I will be reviewing a few more from now on. One I have in my reader that I'm going to start really soon. There's one called Spiritual Feminism. And, I mean, that's obviously for me. So, book review of Shadows. That went well. Thanks, Jose. I'm going to thank him a few more times tonight. Hope that's fine. Okay, so our second topic for the night is Convocation. Convocation 2016. So Convocation is a pagan convention that takes place in Michigan. It takes place at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel, which was really great, and their non-pagan staff is very understanding. The costumes and stuff were really fun. So Convocation. This was my first ever pagan convention. First time there, obviously, it's my first time. And I was so excited. I made up business cards. I spent $30 to get same-day business cards printed. I only got 100. Totally screwed me over, but that's okay. They went over pretty well. So this pagan convention I was incredibly excited about, in no small part because Ellen Dugan, the author that I love, I love her books, she was going to be there, as well as Selena Fox, the absolute unicorn of a woman. She's just so amazing. The Niagara Voodoo Shrine, which I've actually been meaning to get up to because that's in Ontario. They were there as their band, the Dragon Ritual Drummer, so that was really cool. So I was really excited for this. I took a lot of workshops. I took a workshop in almost every single time slot where I could take a workshop or class or lecture or whatever the heck it was. And I do not regret that. So again, I wrote a podcast about my experience here, the fatfeministwitch.wordpress.com. It's just quick little highlights, and I'm going to, again, give you quick little highlights here. If you ever want to ask me questions, I love messages. So on Facebook, through email at fatfeministwitch@gmail.com. If you want a full rundown, I'll give it to you. I'll even take pictures of all my swag, because I keep all my paper. So like I said, I took a lot of classes. I'm a big classes fan, as you can tell, because I teach them. So I took a bunch of classes. Some of them were really crafty and creative. One of them was about making a lamp. in which we actually got to make a lamp and mix up our own lamp oil and learn how to use it. And the teacher there, M. Belladonna, just absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Jose and I are going to toast her right now. Thank you, because that was a super fun class. I also took a really fun class about altars, and I don't really need a beginner's class about altars, but I'm really glad I went. It was fun, it was creative, it was first thing in the morning. My very first class on my very first day was dirt magic. This was kind of an impromptu class that hadn't been on the schedule. It was taught by a young man named Michael Callahan, who was hilarious. And in dirt magic, he talked about graveyard dirt. He, different methods of gathering graveyard dirt, kinds of graveyard dirt, how to use your graveyard dirt, how to not fall into a grave. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about how terrifying it would be to fall into a grave, but I have not. So falling into an open grave, I got a really good piece of advice. Don't fall into an open grave, because you know what? They really are 6 feet deep, and unless you are more than 6 feet and have incredible arm strength, you aren't getting out. You really have to wait for somebody to come by and get you, especially if you leave your phone on the ground and can't reach it. So don't fall into an open grave. That started my whole trip at Convocation, was don't fall into an open grave. Amazing advice. A few classes that I took were, there's no other word, they were life-changing. They changed my life. The first one, on the first day there, was The Witch, the Healer, and the Door, Journey into Your Personal Akashic Records, and this was taught by Jackie Smith. Jackie Smith is one of the owners of Coventry Creations Candles in Ferndale, Michigan. I love the candles. I'm obsessed with the oils. And something I've always liked about Coventry is that they have a lot of personality in their products, and I can really see why now that I have seen Jackie in person. Jackie Smith has got a lot of personality, and she is so much fun. She's so funny. She said a lot of things that really resonated with me. So the Akashic Records, ooh, that's a whole other topic. The Akashic Records have to do with your past lives and your memories, your past, your future. The Akashic Records are the records of the whole of existence. I know, that's big. And I don't do stuff with past lives. I know that it's a thing people do, but I still don't know if I want to. But when it comes to the past, my personal past in this life, that's something I'm pretty invested in no small part because, I have the memory of a damn elephant. I never forget anything. No matter how hard I want to forget something, I just can't. I have a near photographic memory. It's a pain in my damn ass. It's a pain in the ass. It's the worst. It's kind of great sometimes. I do really well on tests. Always have. Even when I was flunking out of school, I did really well on tests. But other than that, it's a pain in my ass. And so I got this book, Do It Yourself Akashic Wisdom by Jackie Smith and her sister Patty Shaw. And I've been kind of struggling to get through it because I just didn't really get it. It's still written really well. I've read another of Jackie Smith's books and I like the way she writes, but the topic wasn't getting in there so well. So not only after this class do I get it, but I'm in love with it. And I even pulled a total Titanic during this class and I sketched what I saw. She led us through a little meditation to see our Akashic Records room, like our record keeping room. Mine definitely looks like a Harry Potter common room. I'm going to go ahead and guess it's the Hufflepuff common room because it's my style. And that's totally wild. I'm not very good at visualizing when there's other people around. I'm especially not good at visualizing when there's 100 other people around and there's a couple thousand other people out in the hallway. So that was pretty wild. And I'm definitely going to restart Do It Yourself Akashic Wisdom with these fresh eyes. I've got a lot of stuff in my past, and some of the stuff she said really, really was amazing. That expression, history is written by the victors? She said that fear is the victor that writes your own personal history. And that was not just New Age garbage. I promise you, that That really is amazing because you remember things that make you feel scared. It's trauma, right? Trauma sticks around. It sticks around forever. She also said that most of the time, when someone does something to hurt you, after they do it, they kind of write it off because it probably wasn't as big of a deal to them as it was to you. How could it be? You're the one that got hurt. It's always going to be a bigger deal to you. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's the way it is. So I have some stuff in my past that I've been holding on to. It is trauma. It's affected my life. And the person who, caused this trauma, not only would it not have really stuck in as well, I think, but they have brain injuries and it's literally gone. Gone. Those memories don't exist anywhere but in my head and in my Akashic Records room. And that was intense. She couldn't have said it a better way, is that, you're the one that holds on to these, because I'm literally the only one holding on to these. And she said, now you own these. And what you choose to do with those memories and those experiences and what you have stuck in that room is totally up to you. It's your choice because you are the owner and you can do whatever you want. You can ball it up and throw it in the garbage. You can change it. You can keep it forever if that's what you really, really want. Who would? But if that's what you want. And that was really, really amazing. So I'm gonna be working with that. That's a fun new tool that I have in my magical repertoire. And I'm definitely gonna be restarting that book. So keep an eye out for a review in the next couple months. My favorite presenter that I saw at this convocation was Ellen Dugan. I know I've only reviewed one of her books, but I am a huge fan of Ellen Dugan's writing. And part of the reason I like it so much is because her personality I'm so sorry. Thank you, Jose. Is that her personality comes through a lot. And now that I've met Ellen, I can see why. She's got a lot of it. She's got a lot of personality, and it's fucking hilarious, and it's great. So she was a really, really fun presenter. And her books are really great because they're fun, they're magical, there's really nice stuff like gardening and herbs and all this is great. And then there's a lot of stuff like don't fuck with fairies, don't fuck around. She refuses to bullshit people. She just absolutely refuses. As far as I could tell anyways. I mean, if she's bullshitting us, I don't think I'd know. I don't think I'm that good. But I love Ellen Dugan. And I'm definitely going to be reviewing more books, especially because she signed a couple. She signed The Enchanted Cat, which is my favorite Ellen Dugan book. One of my favorite books of all time in general, because I just love cats. She also signed part 3 of the Legacy of Magic series. I already reviewed part 1. Part 2 is coming up soon. And then part 3, which I bought in like real paper form. I'm really excited to read it like a paper book for the first time in a while. So I'm a big fan, and meeting her was a really, really, really big treat. Two of the workshops that she was facilitating were with Michelle Belanger, who you Americans might recognize from Paranormal State. If not, check out Paranormal State, because Michelle Belanger was really, really cool, super funny, incredibly intelligent, and they were so crass. They swore right through this whole thing, and I was so pumped about it because I love to swear, and I love to make jokes, and I can still talk about serious things while I do it. So they taught a couple of workshops. The one that I really liked the best was called The Writer's Craft. And The Writer's Craft was about writing. I thought it would help me with the blog, right? I've always wanted to be a writer, but I don't think I'm good at it, and sometimes I hate it. Don't ask me to explain how all those things happened. I might have to take a trip into my Akashic Records room. My writing teacher from when I was in high school, Mrs. Cole, passed away. She was a really sweet lady, and in my one rebellious year as a teenager, I wasn't maybe so nice to her, and I haven't really liked writing ever since. So, thanks, Jose. Moving along. So, I thought it would help me with the blog. What I didn't think I would get is all of the inspiration I could possibly need to write a book. I have all the inspiration I could possibly need to write a book. And I have a couple of books in my head that, you know, I've always thought about, and then maybe like laid out and wrote notes about, and then maybe like made cover art for. So, so I've got some books. Please don't quote me on that or like look for a book anytime soon. Yikes. I don't know if I can do it, but it was very inspirational. It was no bullshit. They didn't tell us that, you know, writing a book is a great way to get rich. They said the exact opposite. It wasn't a lecture for people looking to exploit the pagan community or witches with some fluffy, stupid thing. Like, the next Silver Ravenwolf wasn't going to get anything about this out of this lecture. They emphasized that it was really hard work, but they still made it sound totally worth it. They gave you great tips for, like, where to send your manuscript, which, like, New Age metaphysical pagan companies are taking new authors, how much things like formatting and designing cost. You know how many... You have to format an ebook like a million different ways for a million different services. I didn't know there was a difference between, like, the EPUB I download from Amazon and the EPUB people get from Nook, but apparently there is. Now, this doesn't sound super magical, but to me it really, really was. I like to apply magic and spirituality to my everyday life. I really like that. I love this mundane shit. Tell me all about it. So I really liked that class, and at the end of it, I was, like, just giddy. I was so excited. So excited. Ellen and Michelle also did a class about psychics and magic, which was really, really cool. And then Ellen did a class all by herself that was about Yamaya, the Orisha of the oceans, which was really, really cool. She's my favorite Orisha. So, oh, I could just go on forever about how great it was to meet Ellen. My favorite lecture or class or workshop or what have you of the entire weekend was called Rebirth, Pagan Leadership, Ethics, and Community. And it was by Shauna Ora Knight and Taylor Elwood. I had heard Shauna Ora Knight speak about pagan activism on the Down at the Crossroads podcast with Chris Orapello, which is my favorite currently running pagan podcast, by the way, Down at the Crossroads. It's really, really good. He plays music. He plays music, like real pagan music by real pagan authors. It's so good. And he talks to the most amazing people. But Shauna Ora Knight was on there talking about pagan activism. And she really struck a chord with me. Super intelligent, passionate, and like really got stuff done. I love a woman who gets shit done. And Windsor's pagan community is not doing so hot. It's sick. It's very splintered. We have these predatory leaders just like milling around. We have this totally toxic store/class space that is making people really uncomfortable, and that personally offended me because I worked there. I've like half mentioned it a few times. I'm kind of afraid. But yeah, we've got a lot of stuff like that, and it's not great. And I've been looking for a way to kind of work on healing this. I can't fix everything. I mean, I can try, and I probably, when I'm sober, will tell you that I can fix everything, but I can't fix everything. I know that. So I was very excited for this lecture, and she did help. Her and Taylor Elwood, they're both leaders. They're both leaders in their own ways, and they shared those experiences, which was really good. Everyone asked questions. Everybody had their own issues and problems and experiences that they wanted to get feedback on. I asked her about all my problems, and she gave me really great ideas of things that I can do to fix the stuff that's going around. I met this wonderful girl named Rachel who was just sitting next to me, and something she said to the group wasn't even directed at me or about me, but it was really it was really relevant, and it's actually changed the way I teach classes, and the kinds of classes I've taught since have been very different, and I'm going with a really different approach. So this really changed some things. This really changed things for me. I also thought it was cool because the makeup of this class was overwhelmingly female. Overwhelmingly female. This discussion about leadership was overwhelmingly female, and that was rad. It was rad. I love being part of a spiritual community that usually has such a strong emphasis on female empowerment. It doesn't always, but in cases like this, it really does. So to all the women out there, especially like pagan women or witch women or whatever the fuck, all those women out there that are thinking, oh, you know, maybe I should like become more of a leader. I think I'm a pretty... Yes. Yes. Just do it. Start leading anyone and anything. Just be ethical, be passionate, be intelligent, and like take that. I love it so much. Shauna Orenite's got a few books about this. There's the Pagan Leadership Anthology. Go to her website because I can't remember them right now. Jose, check these books out. I've already got one on my Kindle. It's backlogged, fired up to go. That I'm really excited about because I think it's really important for a lot of pagans. If you see something wrong, it's probably because something is wrong, and you can't fix people. If someone is doing something bad, you can't fix that person. You can't make them stop being bad or doing bad things. But what you can do is you can build your own thing that's better. Build up something better. If you build it, they will come. Oh my God, don't sue me, Kevin Costner. That's just the way it is. It's that when there's no other options, that bad thing is the only thing. And sometimes, especially with spirituality, you'd rather do something than nothing at all, even if it's terrible. So build something good in your community. Build something comfortable and happy, something that enriches people's lives and challenges them in ways that are good and lead to good things. And people will follow that. That was an awesome lecture. That was my favorite lecture of the entire weekend. And it wasn't really a lecture, it was more of a round table discussion. I felt like a real equal with everyone there. And it was really fantastic. Check out Shauna Orenite because she's really, really cool. And check out Convocation in general. Check out their website and everything. They were amazing. They were really amazing. There was a vendor's room with amazing vendors. I found a favorite vendor and I wrote all about her. Violet Flame Gifts. Wow. Violet Flame Gifts on my blog. Check out the pictures and everything. I got a ton of stuff for real cheap. But there was lots of really, really cool vendors selling stuff that I never see over here. Like I said, Selena Fox was there. I didn't have the guts to talk to this mystical unicorn of a woman, but I danced right next to her during Personal Jesus. Like I literally turned around during Personal Jesus, one of the greatest songs in the world, and she was there just rocking out. And I'm forever going to pretend in my life that she knew I was there and she thinks I'm cool. Now let me clarify. It's not that Selena Fox is like some big celebrity and ignored me. I am starstruck and I'm a ridiculous person. As far as I can tell, from sitting next to her or dancing next to her during Personal Jesus, she's the sweetest, warmest, most wonderful person in the world. Every time she walked into a room, I instantly felt really warm and I found myself smiling, and not talking to her out of shyness and fear was a real treat. And I'm going to cherish that forever. Just forever. I'm so ridiculous. But that was really neat. I attended a ritual put on by the Niagara Voodoo Shrine, which was mind-blowingly cool. I think voodoo is incredibly interesting, but it's kind of a hard thing to learn about, especially because I really care about learning more about voodoo from someone who's legit. It's hard to find someone who's legit in Canada who practices voodoo. The Niagara Voodoo Shrine, where it is situated, it was a stopping point along the Underground Railroad, otherwise known as legit. And so the things that they teach there and they have there, they're very tied with New Orleans. They're very tied with actual voodoo practitioners. They are the dragon ritual drummers. For those who know pagan music, they're the dragon ritual drummers, and they're, really phenomenal. It was a really, really cool experience, and I had burned my face with hair dye. Like I had a chemical burn from behind my ears and all over my beautiful, beautiful face. And Witch Dr. Utu, who was leading the ritual, he had water, and it was from the grave of Dr. John, who was a voodoo practitioner in New Orleans. And this water came from there, and he was putting it on people, and so he put some on my face. just like around my chin. My chin was cleared up in 2 days. It was totally gone, and the rest of my face followed suit. That's some voodoo. Yeah. I believe. I really, really believe. It was amazing, and the voodoo ritual was really neat because it's there's a lot of dancing. I'm really into dancing. I'm really into dancing and sweating. That makes me feel magical. I don't know why. I mean, Jose is making me sweat, so maybe that makes a lot of sense. But I'm really into movement and music. Really into music, and that just seemed like a really good way to raise energy. And crazy magical. Really magical. I mean, there was some spitting out of rum, and there was dancing with a machete, and there was Florida water everywhere. It smelled amazing after. Oh, voodoo is just the coolest. So that was really, really neat, and my face is cleared up. So thank you, Dr. John. Thank you, Niagara Voodoo Shrine. So that was my experience at Convocation. I took detailed notes. If anyone ever is interested in some of the notes, some of the book recommendations, stuff like that, like I said, please message me. I really, truly love it. Facebook messages are very easy for me to get. You can just look up the Fat Feminist Witch. On Twitter, I'm at Fat Feminist Witch. There's an I missing. Be careful with that one. My email is fatfeministwitch@gmail.com. And you can find me on Instagram now. Yay! Okay, so Instagram, Fat Feminist Witch, and I absolutely love Instagram. I use Instagram in my mundane life, and I'm obsessed with it. And now I have a witch Instagram. Please look it up and follow me and share your pictures with me. I love pictures. I share a lot of pictures from Salem on there because I just have so many. So, Facebook, email, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to know anything more about Convocation 2016, for the love of God, please message me. If you want to hear more podcasting with my good friend Jose here, I want to know, because I had some fun. I had some fun, and I didn't plan it. I was having pasta for dinner. I'm like, it goes great with pasta, tequila. It doesn't, but a girl can dream. So thank you for listening to the Fat Feminist Witch podcast. I'm going to play you a little bit more of this dope track that I found. It is called Gypsy by MC Cullah off of his album Killa Cullah. Enjoy.